Good afternoon, and thanks for virtually coming today. And thanks to Molly Janica and the entire AI Showbiz team for producing this really cool event. My name is Dan Mapes, and I'm a founder of Versus Labs here in Los Angeles. We create software that combines artificial intelligence, immersive media, and blockchain technologies into a single global network that some people call the Metaverse, but we call it the spatial web. So it's entirely appropriate that we're having this early test presentation in a metaverse. And the technology is still having a little bit of glitches. This is still an early test startup, so bear with us. We're just going to do kind of a simple presentation today just to kind of give everybody a flavor of what's coming. And then each quarter, I think, we'll improve it a lot. And by a certain point, in the not too far future, will be almost indistinguishable from real life. Anyway, what we build is something called the spatial web. We wrote a book about it called The Spatial Web, available on Amazon. If you want to do a deeper dive after the talk today, I'm going to do a quick summary of the spatial web and why it's important for our future. Our website is also located with loaded with lots of info for follow-up at versus.io. And now that is Versus with an E, V-E-R-S-E like Edward S, versus.io, like in universe. Anyway, it's an amazing moment to have this online VR conference. We're presenting online today because it's still too dangerous to actually meet in person in a large conference, and it probably will be for some time to come. Even though this is still an early test and there are lots of technical hurdles, we can see the day coming when we can all begin to meet in shared immersive spaces on a regular basis. Immersive media will become common in our future, for work, for study, for play, for socializing. Even so, gatherings like this show us the potential of working together online. This is all part of the new emerging digital economy that was already underway, but the pandemic is making it go much faster. This is a quote from Dee Hock, the founder of Visa. He recently said, "We are at that very point in time when the 400-year-old industrial age that runs on oil is dying, and a new age that runs on photons is struggling to be born. The pandemic is driving us all online, and that will help to bring about this new era of a digital online economy. The spatial web will play an important part in helping this new economic age to be born. There are 5 things that are currently driving us toward this spatial web metaverse. 1, working online is a great way to work, and now everyone is trying it globally. We have no choice. The internet, 2, the internet is faster now, and it can finally handle the bandwidth requirements. 3, we have an entire generation that's grown up playing 3D video games, and they're very comfortable operating in 3D spaces. 4, VR and AR headsets are becoming more affordable and capable every year. We're currently using an Oculus system, but the latest Oculus Quest is hardly can find it in stock. It's selling out everywhere. So we're going to see better and cheaper headsets every year. 5, we want to do things now that we've never done before, like manage smart cities, find face masks anywhere in the world, manage our global health system more effectively, and create immersive entertainment and other ways of socializing together online. So this is where it's all going to go. But there was something that was holding us back. Our current World Wide Web was not designed for this kind of a problem. It was designed to link web pages across networks, not spaces. That's why our big computer games still have to be downloaded. They're not really online, like as a website. The spatial web solves this problem by creating new spatial protocols. And these open up many new uses of the internet to help us manage our companies, our cities, our health systems, and our climate. It also opens up trillions of dollars in new business opportunities for brilliant and young entrepreneurs that want to jump into this new world we're stepping into. As our old friend Charles Darwin once said, it's not the strongest that survive, nor the most intelligent that survive. It's the ones that adapt to change. They're the ones that survive. So this is a change that's coming, and the ones of us that adapt to it quickly will really thrive. Let's face it, We're living through a very complex moment: climate crisis, income inequality, overpopulation, homelessness, financial crises, wars, and now a global pandemic. It can all start to look pretty hopeless. And the pandemic has really exposed the limitations of our global information system. We can't find things. And it's difficult to coordinate activities between our cities, our states, and federal governments, and our key international organizations. But we believe that the combination of artificial intelligence and the metaverse, which we call the spatial web, will help us adapt to this new reality and address many of the problems much more effectively than we're currently doing. As bad as things are at the moment, we actually are at the dawn of a new era that will use AI and the spatial web in exciting new ways. We believe that this next era will combine immersive media, artificial intelligence, and blockchains in ways that will make our current world look like the Stone Age when we look back at it from 2050. Think about all the problems we're having with COVID-19. Basic things like finding enough masks, protective equipment, and ventilators, finding testing supplies, getting the tests to the right locations, turning the test results into real-time policies that could save lives. Now think about a computer game like Fortnite. The game software knows every asset that is in the game and exactly where they are. It knows all the players, both human and AI. It knows the rules of the game and how far you've progressed. If you've earned points or assets, they're automatically loaded to your inventory. And the game keeps track of those accounts. You can query the game at any time, and there's detailed knowledge about how many players are in the game and what their status is. Policies in the game could change as you gain points or level up. Many of the problems we are currently facing with our hospitals, supply chains, and COVID tracking would be more easily solved if our world could function like a giant computer game. And that's about what is about to happen. You might ask, okay, what does a computer game have to do with solving the world's problems? Well, it turns out the entire world is actually a giant game that we're all playing right now. Scientists study human behavior using game theory. We're playing something called the game of life. And it's time now to improve our game. Hence the word game changer. We're all game changers. We've done it before, multiple times, from the Stone Age to now. We've been growing and changing all our lives, shedding old skins, growing new ones. We're always evolving. That's who we are. Scientists even study evolution and call it evolutionary game theory. Turns out evolution itself can be looked at as a game. Or perhaps you could say evolution is like a series of games, because it turns out that evolution proceeds by a series of stair steps. Things proceed for a long period of time in a very similar way. Hence we give it the term an age or an era. Then for some reason, some event triggers a massive amount of change in a very short period of time, and a new age begins. This is one of those transition moments when one age is ending and a new age is beginning. The most famous transition moment in history was when an asteroid hit the planet 66 million years ago and wiped out the dinosaurs, opening up the world to the new age of mammals, of which we're a part. The moment we're living in is just as big as that one was. In our case, instead of an asteroid, we have a global pandemic. And just like the asteroid, it stopped everything. The way we've been doing it, it stops it all in its tracks and opens the door for new ways of doing things. This is causing the transition to a new economy to accelerate. What might have taken 10 years will probably now achieve in 5, or 20 will come in 10. Everything is moving online and everything is moving faster. Therefore, AR and VR adoption will grow more quickly. But how do we actually change the game itself, you might ask? Well, here's the way of looking at the situation. When the dinosaurs were wiped out by the asteroid, small mammals already existed. We were tiny, and we had to be careful and come out at night, otherwise we'd be eaten by the dinosaurs. When the asteroid killed off all the dinosaurs, the mammals could safely expand into all of the environmental niches that were not now occupied. So here we are, similarly. There is already a small growing digital economy that's based on artificial intelligence, immersive realities, blockchains, robots, and other advanced technologies. It's smart and it's already global and it's becoming more capable every day. And this is part of it, what we're doing here right this moment. But it's still tiny compared to the $84 trillion global GDP industrial age economy that's currently running the world. All that's probably going to change pretty quickly. The pandemic is showing the limitations of our current systems. Many of these limitations could be solved by a new smart system and a better web. We've seen glimpses of what's possible in science fiction movies. It's a vision of a world that works much better than ours. Let me just bring up another slide here. Sorry for the slowness. There we go. So this slide is showing all the new exponential technologies that are exploding all separately, from robotics to blockchains to VR headsets, all of these different things that are around us in the world today. The problem is they're not connected. How are we going to use them until they all come together? And once they are connected, suddenly we finally have something like a giant computer game connected all over the world. But how is that going to help us to a better future? We still have the same decision makers. Well, actually, there's a new game player in the world, and that game player is artificial intelligence. In 1997, AI beat the world chess champion. In 2011, AI beat the world Jeopardy champions. And in 2017, AI beat the world Go champion. And coming soon, AI will help us protect us from future pandemics. It will help us manage our smart cities. It's getting very powerful at developing new strategies to help us win at the game of life. So AI will be a real partner for humanity as we move forward. But AI needed a new framework to be effective. Right now it's crunching a lot of data inside a machine. But actually it needs to be completely aware of the world and interconnected to all the IoT devices and cameras and other kinds of equipment around the world and the web itself. And that is what we've created at Versus, the spatial web protocols. And this can turn the internet into a real-time, planet-wide nervous system and enable AIs and humans to collaborate in the metaverse to manage our planet more effectively. The next stage is the age of AI and the spatial web metaverse, and it can help us solve our problems as our population grows from nearly 8 billion people today to nearly 10 billion people by 2050. If we deploy these technologies effectively, we can create a much better world. It all begins with the spatial web. Every computer game is an example of a smart space. What we have done is to enable any space in the world, from hotels to hospitals to entire cities, to become programmable smart spaces. These individual smart spaces can then be linked together to create a web of spaces, just like we now do with a web of pages. This web of spaces creates the spatial web. Now our world can be programmed, automated, and verified in new ways. These graphics kind of highlight how we can interconnect everything and how that leads to a partnership between AIs and humans managing our world. This first graphic shows you that every computer system has 3 tiers to it. It has a logic tier, it has a data tier, and it has an interface tier. Up until now, we've been using on our smartphones apps as the logic tier, cloud as the data tier, and the touchscreen as the interface tier. But in the spatial web, we use AI as the logic, blockchains as the data tier, and immersive technologies like AR and VR as the interface tier. In this screen, we can see that the human body is actually doing this right now. Our eyes are kind of like AR and VR. Our brains are like AI. Our memories are kind of like blockchains. Our sense of touch to measure heat and weight, that's like IoT sensors. and our ability to pick things up and move them around are kind of like robotics. What's interesting about all of them is that they're linked by a nervous system. And so this nervous system is the new spatial web. That's what allows us to link everything together so it functions together as one global network. And once we've got that in place, AIs can augment human decision-making by showing them simulations, almost the way a spreadsheet does today. They can run what-if scenarios on possible futures. And that enables us then even to do democratic voting on how we want to, what direction we all collectively want to go in. So these are new capabilities we've never had before. And you can see it also creates combined realities that everybody can share. So everybody all over the world can look at things together. This is practical for business, but it might be practical in the way that we develop our city in the future. So you can see we're moving from a 2D web to a 3D web, and the world from now on will be immersive. And we've already done this a bit with our current mapping systems. Maps back in 2000 were text-based. Now they're map-based, and soon they're going to be spatial maps that actually are augmented reality in front of our cars, and we just follow the lines right in the street for wayfinding. Here's the real problem that we've had. The world's complex, and we try to get everything reduced down to a simple spreadsheet. And once we do that, then we think we understand it. But the spreadsheet's probably only capturing 10 or 20% of the reality of the world, and it's not real time. What we want is a real-time way of looking at the world. So this is what augmented reality does. It replaces the spreadsheet with real-time data coming right off the world. And there you can see, there we can manage our cities, and there's a construction site with augmented reality showing everybody what to do and where to do it. Or a warehouse. Obviously, this applies to hospitals and everything related to helping deal with COVID, which has to do with really finding where things are, or where healthy people are, or where the outbreaks are in the future. It also helps us deal with our climate. It can measure our carbon footprints in different locations and make policy adjustments in real time. So when you add it all, and then there's a lot of security built into the system as well. Otherwise, we could really have a lot of privacy problems with all this. So there's self-sovereign ID, there's zero knowledge proofs, and all these other kinds of things. And that's really going to help us communicate more effectively together around the world, collaborate and coordinate our activities. And that's going to lead to a world that, probably is a huge new global business opportunity for everybody that's listening in here, and really help us manage our supply chains, our cities, and our entire world going forward. At the end here, I'd like to kind of show you just a little video of what this new world could look like. Hold on one second. Let me get it up here. Here you go. Enjoy.
There's a new world emerging right before our very eyes. A world where we seamlessly and naturally interact with augmented and virtual reality, opening endless possibilities to learn, collaborate, create, and explore. Where spaces and cities become smart, physical and digital goods are tracked, and people's identity, security, and finances are protected, enabling citizens, big data, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things to finally work together for the benefit of humanity and the planet. But have you ever stopped and wondered, how do we actually get from here to there? The last few years have shown enormous advances in augmented and virtual reality devices. Computer vision, location tracking, edge computing, blockchain, and 5G. But these applications and the devices and operating systems they utilize are not connected. They're siloed experiences. There's no common standard for how all these technologies and applications can work together. For that, we need a common protocol, a way to communicate between each of these technologies. And for that, you need Verses. Verses has developed the HSTP, or Hyperspace Transfer Protocol, allowing parties to agree on who, what, and where everything is in physical and virtual worlds. This enables anyone with the right permissions to discover what something is, who owns it, where it's located, and what can be done with it. It is a paradigm shift in the future of computing. Versus is currently developing multiple specifications and pilot projects with commercial and enterprise partners, as well as standards groups and governments. Early tests have already demonstrated incredible time and money savings, while providing previously inaccessible spatial analytics and spatial performance data. Join us and our many forward-thinking partners and industry leaders as we drive the next generation of innovation and lay down the digital infrastructure to support a better future and a new web for people, businesses, our environment, and humanity. Let's build the spatial web. There's a new world emerging right before our very eyes. A world where we seamlessly and naturally interact with augmented and virtual reality. Opening.
There we go. Well, as you can see, there's still a few little rough spots. We're learning our way, but this was an experiment to see how we could have conferences in the future using virtual reality. Thanks for everybody for going through this experiment with us. It's still a little rough, but I think it shows so much promise. And in the future, we'll be able to do things with 3D models right here in the room, where we can walk around and get in them and have experiences and simulations. So use this as kind of just an early fun moment in the history of computing as we do some of these early first conferences in VR. And later, we'll look back on this and appreciate all the work that went in here by the wonderful people that run the Museum of Other Realities and the team at AI Showbiz Summit that put this event on, and the intentions and vision of the people involved in the technology to make it all happen. So thanks, Adam, thanks, Robin, thanks, Chris, and thanks, Molly, thanks, Janik, all of you great people for doing the production, and thanks for all of you for putting up with the kind of more glitchy approach to it in this early stage. But I think you can see the intentions there, and why we did this presentation is really about the possibilities of these technologies and why we love them so much. So thank you, and we'll see you all in cyberspace and the metaverse and the spatial web, whatever name you like to call it. Bye-bye.